Bitcoin finally had its break out of its downward trend to the upside yesterday, setting a new local high and a brand new 2024 high. As you can kind of see here, let's zoom on in, we had the breakout of our downward trend. This started up here on the 22nd of December with a high of 44,398. We then had the second lower high coming in at 43,787. We tested the trend line very briefly here and had that big break to the upside. Now, yesterday, I was expecting us to come back down to the low side before we got the break to the upside, but obviously you cannot stop FOMO, and we did see a bit of a surge to the upside. Now, this move to the upside is very impulsive in the way that it's moved, and for the most part, this move to the upside doesn't look like it has finished just yet. It's only really just trying to get started here. On the hourly chart, I would expect a bit of a call off to appear. I would expect us to kind of pull back just a little bit before we continue this surge to the upside. As you can see, the stochastic RSI is starting to pull back down on the hourly chart here. If I take that off and throw in our divergence indicator, you can see we had a brief bearish divergence before we had the run to the upside. Take that off and throw the volume on, you can see a significant volume has come in, taking this price action a little bit higher here, but it hasn't been sustained. Essentially, we saw a few hours of growth on the volume, pushing the price up to the higher side, but other than that, we haven't seen anything else going on here. Volumes have dropped right back as we continue to push up here. So as we can kind of see here, we have a new local high with volume that is lower, so we do have the volume divergence appearing here on the chart at the moment. So quite an interesting one to kind of see how this kind of plays out and kind of what happens next with BTC. My expectations would be a small call off before we continue this run to the upside. So let's take a look at that in a little bit more detail. Let's focus on some smart money concepts. Smart money concepts, you can see here with all this green, these are fair value gaps. This is showing you that there wasn't a lot of liquidity in the market at these key areas. Down here, here, and over here. What you saw was basically price having to push up higher in order to find people who were going to sell the Bitcoin to the people who are buying. Right, so these large orders coming in, not enough people selling, not enough liquidity, price goes up higher to find where the sellers were, and therefore you can see how price moved to the upside. Smart Money Concepts obviously has put this back into a bullish structure after being in a bearish structure, after being in a bullish structure, after being in a bearish structure. Essentially, guys, we finally broke out of our range. It's fantastic. We're talking about this for the last few days on the YouTube channel, so you should be familiar with what we were expecting. Okay, so here we can see we've had this pretty decent run to the upside. Currently topping out at the point of recording this video up here at $45,852. So let's go ahead and roll this up into the daily time frame. Here you can see we're testing that higher range once again on this, what I believe to be diagonal based pattern. So this one should be where we're kind of reaching this higher range, and we can still push up a little bit more should we need to, up towards $48,000 to $52,000. But it doesn't look like a strong move. So although we've pushed up quite aggressively here over the last 24 hours for Bitcoin, as you can kind of see here, our stochastic RSI on the daily time frame is telling us that this is not overly that strong, meaning that this is likely to reverse on us soon. So although it's great right now, are we likely to hit the 48,000? Based on this momentum, I'm going to say no, not without first having a correction to the downside first. So it's possible that we can push up here, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer. I don't expect it to happen overnight. Could be wrong on that, but for the most part, the momentum indicator here has been moving quite rapidly, and we have only really just hit 45k, so I'm not expecting us to kind of push on up towards 48 to 50k right away without some kind of correction first. Take the stochastics off and throw on the divergence indicator. You can see here the RSI has moved up quite fast as well in the last kind of 24-48 hours. This shows us also weakness within its move to the upside, showing us that the momentum is not supporting a move to the upside. We're going to be keeping a close eye on this to see whether or not we're going to find any divergences coming in on the RSI and price action. At the moment, nothing's coming up, and so that's a good positive sign. Volume wise, again, volumes, as you can kind of see, are decreasing on the daily time frame. So Let me show you this. Since we had this high up this side, we have decreasing volume, but we have an increasing price action, right? So we have price going up, but volume going down on this move to the upside. So although the volumes were quite impressive on the 1 hour time frame, on the daily time frame, actually they're lower than they were previously, indicating that actually there is a lack of momentum to the upside on our daily time frame, and that is not what you want to hear as you try to target out $48,000 to $52,000. But ultimately, I think we will be seeing reversals here. I don't think we're going to be pushing up as much as people want. I know a lot of people are going to be kind of looking for those big round numbers like 50K, but I think, we're going to push up a little bit more for sure. I do think we're likely to see that, but I'm not expecting us to kind of push up towards 50K at this point without some kind of correction first. And if we cannot hold those supports, then we will be looking for moves to the downside. This was an expected move, of course, guys. Although we were expecting it to come down a little bit before we rallied on up, we were expecting this rally to the upside, as I've been talking about this for the last couple of days. So hopefully this is not a surprise to anybody. Taking a look at this on our weekly time frame, we can zoom right in here before we have those Bitcoin spot ETF approvals. You can see that we've come right up into this yellow box range right here. Okay, this is this area of previous resistance, and this comes in at the 45,517 to 48,234. This is where we have to close above if we want to be talking about $50,000. Failure to do that, we are likely to see rejection here. Obviously, we have the Bitcoin spot ETF's approval at some point, and as everything else goes on here, we are talking about big sell the news events for BTC. And for the most part, I'm still kind of expecting that. I'm not expecting anything else other than what I was articulating over Christmas and over New Year's in the videos, where I was expecting a push to the upside in the first couple of weeks of January before we see a collapse in the Bitcoin price on the Bitcoin spot ETF news. So nothing of new when it comes to that. Take a look at it on the monthly time frame. You can see where that resistance really comes in on that upper range at 48,234, and that low range being 45,793. So this is where I see rejection in Bitcoin's movements. Obviously, from an Elliott wave point of view, we can see this as 3 waves right here on our price chart, and of course we have to consider what that might mean for a bigger bearish pattern overall. Hopefully that is not going to be the case, but it's something that you have to bear in mind. Hopefully this is the reversal, but we should be looking for a correction over the next little while back down before we actually get into that next big moonshot into new all-time highs. Ultimately, I'm going to be looking for how Bitcoin price reacts at 30K before it moves on up into those slightly higher ranges. Ultimately, though, I think Bitcoin's very well positioned. We are just looking for a healthy correction. That healthy correction can be in the form of 30, 40, even 50%. We'll see how price reacts at the key levels of support. And, hopefully Bitcoin will be able to find support somewhere around this kind of $30,000 level so that we can really kind of just move down in a nice healthy correction and then rally on up into new all-time highs from there. I think Bitcoin is very well positioned. It's good to see that it has rallied up today. I think this is going to be good for the crypto market generally. So why not go ahead and check this video out where I talk about altcoins that I think are going to perform incredibly well this year.